Are you currently trying to future-proof your career?
Or maybe you're a parent, right?
Yeah, exactly. A parent trying to advise your kids on what they should study when they head off to college.
It's a tough conversation right now.
It really is. Or perhaps, you're just simply trying to make sense of this rapidly changing, highly unpredictable 2026 economy we find ourselves navigating.
Which is most of us, honestly.
Right. Well, if any of that sounds like you are in exactly the right place. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here for this one.
Today, our mission is to explore a massive, fundamental structural shift that is happening in the global workforce as we speak. We are looking at a complete paradigm inversion.
Total flip.
Yeah, where the digital world, the world we were all told was the ultimate unshakable future, is being aggressively disrupted, while the physical world is quietly preparing for an unprecedented boom.
It is a profound transition we're witnessing. And it challenges, almost every deeply held assumption society has maintained about work, prestige, and value over the last few decades.
Absolutely. And the source material we're looking at today really crystallizes this shift in a way that is hard to ignore once you see it.
It's a fantastic piece.
The foundation of our discussion today comes from a recent and honestly highly provocative article published on the Trading Job blog.
Really pulls no punches.
None at all. The piece is titled "The End of the Keyboard Warrior: Why the Future Belongs to the Hands-On Creator." And it is just brutal when it comes to analyzing where the economy is heading.
It's a reality check.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to truly understand the sheer magnitude of where we are going, we really have to look at where we just came from.
Right.
For the last 20 years, the ultimate career advice, like the absolute gold standard of guidance handed down by parents, guidance counselors, society at large, it was incredibly simple.
Learn to code.
Learn to code, get a desk job.
Yeah, it was the universal mantra of the early 21st century. We essentially built a massive global educational machine entirely focused on training people to do one specific thing.
Sit in a temperature-controlled room.
Exactly. Sit in a room, stare at a glowing rectangle, and manipulate digital information. The entire trajectory of success was pointing toward that digital realm.
If you were smart, you worked with your mind in the cloud.
And if you worked with your hands, society subtly or sometimes not so subtly implied you had, settled for a backup plan.
It's so true. From elementary school coding camps to the most prestigious university computer science programs on Earth, everything was geared toward pushing the next generation into white-collar, digital-first professions.
Because the logic made complete sense at the time.
It did. The internet was eating the world. We needed an army of people to build the digital infrastructure. We literally created a society that glorified the keyboard.
And for a long time, it paid off. Massively. For those who bought into it, it generated immense wealth and created millions of comfortable, high-paying jobs. It was the blueprint for success.
But that entire model rested on one very fragile, very critical assumption, right?
Yeah, the assumption that human beings would remain the sole, indispensable creators of digital value.
Which brings us to today.
Right. That paradigm held strong right up until artificial intelligence evolved from a novel concept, something that wrote funny poems or generated weird pictures into hyper-efficient digital workers.
We are no longer talking about theoretical AI or science fiction concepts. We are talking about the economic reality we are staring down right now.
Which is exactly what this article addresses.
Which brings us to the brutal reality check for what the source calls the digital class. And there's a specific metric the author uses to determine job vulnerability that really puts this into perspective.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the introduction of what we can call the Wi-Fi rule.
The Wi-Fi rule.
The article lays out a very clear, very stark boundary for the modern worker. If your entire professional output can be sent over Wi-Fi, you are at risk.
Wow. If it can be sent over Wi-Fi, you're at risk.
It is a terrifyingly simple way to audit your own career and your own vulnerability.
Let's really think about the implications of that rule. If the product of your labor is just data packets traveling over a router, you are in the crosshairs.
You really are.
The article gives some very specific examples of these vulnerable tasks. Coding, which, as we just discussed, used to be the bulletproof career choice.
Data analysis, too. Crunching numbers in complex spreadsheets.
Drafting intricate legal documents. These were highly paid, highly respected professions that required years of specialized schooling.
Decades, sometimes.
And now, human workers in these fields are waking up to find they are competing with a 247 algorithm.
The psychological impact of that cannot be overstated. Imagine spending 10 years mastering a highly technical digital skill, only to realize that skill has been commoditized overnight.
It's devastating.
And it's not just a matter of competing against a machine that works a little faster. You're competing against an entity that doesn't need to sleep,
Doesn't take weekends off.
doesn't require health insurance, doesn't ask for a 401k match, and crucially, doesn't ask for a salary. The economic incentive for companies to replace human digital labor with AI is simply too massive to ignore.
Wait, I have to push back on this a little bit because the source makes a massive claim here. It points out that we are looking at a reality where 99% of computer-exclusive jobs are at risk. 99%. That sounds like hyperbole. I mean, surely high-level software architects, complex data scientists, or senior legal partners aren't going to be easily replaced by an algorithm.
It sounds hyperbolic until you look at the trajectory of the technology and the nature of a digital work.
Okay, explain that.
The 99% figure isn't necessarily saying 99% of people will be fired tomorrow. It means 99% of those roles are structurally vulnerable to extreme wage compression and reduced headcount.
Wage compression. So doing the same job for way less money.
Exactly. If an AI can do 80% of the heavy lifting in drafting a legal brief or writing a software module, a company no longer needs a team of 20 junior associates or 20 junior developers.
They just need one senior person.
Right, one senior person to review the AI's output. The volume of human labor required to maintain the digital world shrinks exponentially. The foundation of the digital class is fundamentally crumbling under that math.
So if sending data packets makes your career vulnerable, what is the opposite of that? What is the ultimate unhackable job in this new economy?
This is the pivot.
Right, this is where the article makes a critical turn, moving from the disruption of the digital space to the enduring, messy reality of the physical world. And it highlights AI's massive blind spot.
It's a huge blind spot.
Sure, AI might be able to write a million lines of absolutely perfect, bug-free code in 3 seconds, but you know what that same AI cannot do?
What's that?
It cannot fix a leaky pipe in your basement at 2 in the morning.
No, it cannot.
You can't email a repaired toilet.
The digital world is frictionless. It is perfectly logical, rule-based, and sterile. The physical world is the exact opposite. It's governed by entropy.
The article uses some highly specific real-world examples to drive this home. AI cannot wire a smart home. It cannot physically run the cables through drywall, drill the holes, and connect the tangible components. It cannot pour a concrete foundation for a new hospital. And I really love this specific image from the text. AI definitely cannot diagnose a broken combine harvester stuck out in the middle of a muddy field.
Let's spend a minute on that image of the combine harvester, because it perfectly encapsulates the divide between the digital and the physical.
It really does.
Think about what is actually required for a human to fix that machine in that specific scenario. You have a massive, complex piece of heavy equipment. It is covered in dirt and grease.
Oh, yeah.
It's sitting in unpredictable weather conditions. Maybe it's raining, maybe it's freezing.
Right. It's the ultimate anti-sterile environment. You can't just run a diagnostic script on a laptop and magically fix a snapped axle sitting in 2 feet of mud.
Precisely.
Yeah.
To fix it, you need to understand the mechanics, yes, but you also need a multitude of physical sensory inputs that an AI completely lacks.
Sensory inputs.
Yeah, you need the spatial awareness to navigate a messy, non-standardized environment. You need tactile feedback, the ability to apply the exact right amount of torque to a rusted bolt without stripping the threads.
Because every rusted bolt is rusted differently.
Exactly. You rely on the smell of burning oil to locate a leak, or the sound of a grinding gear to diagnose a transmission issue. A human mechanic synthesizes all of those physical inputs instantly. AI has absolutely no body, no senses, and therefore no leverage in that environment.
It requires physical human intervention. It requires a hands-on creator, as the source calls them.
Yes.
But I know what you're probably thinking right now as you listen to this. The natural skepticism here is to say, wait a minute, what about robots? Aren't we constantly seeing those viral videos of AI-powered robots doing backflips and lifting boxes?
It is the first counter-argument everyone reaches for. And the article directly addresses it. Yes, robotics is advancing. The demo videos are impressive.
Very impressive.
But there is a massive, incredibly expensive chasm between a robot performing a pre-programmed gymnastics routine in a controlled laboratory and a robot effectively navigating the total chaos of the real world.
Chaos is exactly the word for it. Think about a live construction site.
A construction site is the definition of messy, unpredictable reality. Materials are constantly moving. The terrain is uneven and changing by the hour. weather shifts, unforeseen physical obstacles appear constantly,
A pipe isn't where the blueprint said it would be.
or a piece of lumber is warped. Deploying an AI robot that possesses the sensory processing, the physical agility, and the adaptive problem-solving skills to actually be useful in that environment is not just technologically daunting, it is financially ruinous.
Because of the cost of the sensors.
To put a multi-million-dollar sensor suite on a machine just so it can hammer a nail or lay a brick makes zero economic sense. We are decades away from that kind of technology being commercially viable at scale.
Decades away. Meanwhile, the leaky pipes still need fixing today. The houses still need wiring today. Which brings us to what the article identifies as the safe havens of the new economy.
The insulated fields.
Right, these are the fields completely insulated from the AI digital disruption. We are talking about mechanical engineering and labor, electronics, electrical work, civil engineering, agriculture.
These are the domains that manipulate the physical elements of our planet. They are the bedrock of human civilization. For a long time, they were somewhat sidelined in our culture in favor of the digital boom. But the reality of our physical needs is reasserting itself.
The grounded logic the author uses here is so striking, as they put it. Food grows in dirt, not on servers.
That's a great line.
You can't code a tomato. You actually have to plant it, water it, and harvest it in the physical earth. And think about the massive infrastructure projects on the horizon right now. Upgrading the entire global power grid to support green energy, you cannot do that over Wi-Fi.
No, you cannot.
That absolutely requires physical, boots-on-the-ground human labor. We are talking about laying miles and miles of heavy copper wire, transporting and erecting massive wind turbine blades, and installing millions of solar panels on residential roofs.
It's a massive undertaking.
The physical world is demanding attention, and it is demanding human hands to do the work.
And this massive demand for physical labor is going to cause a profound friction with the systems we have set up to train our workforce, which leads into a deeply structural issue.
Let's get into that.
If the economic value is shifting rapidly toward physical application, what happens to that massive educational machine we discussed earlier?
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the article dives into the bursting of what it calls the fancy degree bubble.
The bubble is bursting.
For decades, the ultimate flex in society was having a highly expensive, prestigious university degree. That piece of paper essentially certified you as a knowledge worker. It proved to employers that you knew a lot of information, you could memorize it, and you could process it well.
But we're undergoing a core philosophical shift right now regarding the very nature of knowledge.
Let's really unpack what knowing means today.
Okay.
In the AI era, simply possessing information, memorizing facts, formulas, or historical precedents is fundamentally worthless, because AI already knows everything.
It has ingested the sum total of human knowledge. Exactly. It can recall decades of legal precedents, cross-reference complex medical diagnoses, and synthesize historical trends in seconds. If your only value proposition to an employer is that you are a vessel for information, or that you can synthesize text, your leverage is gone.
It is a harsh truth to swallow, especially for people who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that certification. But if AI can synthesize and recall information perfectly, the human brain's primary function in the workforce has to change.
I'd have to.
The value in this new era entirely comes down to what you can physically do with your own two hands based on that knowledge. It is about application in the real world, not just theoretical understanding on a screen.
And the source provides a truly fascinating case study to illustrate how this shift is already playing out, looking specifically at the situation in India.
Yes, the India case study.
The Indian context is a perfect microcosm of this global trend because the country has been so heavily invested in the global digital economy for the past 2 decades. To understand the shift, you have to understand the cultural weight of the old system.
Right.
For a very long time, the ultimate culturally reinforced dream for millions of students in India was incredibly specific. Study relentlessly, beat out the intense, almost unfathomable competition, and get into an elite engineering college, specifically an IIT, the Indian Institutes of Technology.
The IITs were the absolute golden ticket. We are talking about millions of kids vying for a few thousand spots. And the goal of enduring that grueling pressure cooker was almost always to use that elite degree to land a massive, highly lucrative software engineering job, very often leading to a career in Silicon Valley.
That was the dream.
It was the absolute pinnacle of the learn to code, get a desk job era.
Exactly. It was the ultimate manifestation of the keyboard warrior dream. But as AI begins to swallow those exact desk jobs, The entry-level coding, the routine software maintenance, the data processing, the balance of power within that society is violently shifting.
The cultural dream is colliding head-on with the new economic reality.
It really is.
So who is actually gaining the leverage in this new scenario? According to the article, it is the graduates from the Industrial Training Institutes, the ITIs.
The trade schools.
Exactly. We're talking about the trade schools, the technicians, the electricians, the machinists. Historically, there was a cultural stigma attached to these paths compared to the elite universities. But now, these are the individuals who are trained in tactile, hands-on skills.
The people who were previously looked down upon by the elite degree holders are suddenly finding themselves in incredibly high demand, with the economic power shifting directly into their hands.
Because they possess the exact skills that AI completely lacks. They are the ones who can actually manifest things in the physical world.
The article synthesizes this concept beautifully by contrasting the blueprint with the builder.
That's a great analogy.
Think about architecture or engineering today. You can use AI to design the most beautiful, structurally sound, perfectly optimized blueprint for a building the world has ever seen. The AI can calculate the load-bearing walls, optimize the HVAC routing, and generate these schematics in seconds for pennies.
But at the end of the day, a blueprint is just pixels on a screen or ink on a paper. You cannot live inside a blueprint.
You really can't.
You still have to pay a highly skilled human being to actually go out into the dirt, pour the concrete, frame the walls, run the electrical wire, and physically build the structure. The builder becomes the premium asset, not the drafter.
It completely flips the traditional hierarchy of the construction process, and by extension, the economic hierarchy of the modern workforce. The executor, the person doing the physical work, becomes exponentially more valuable than the ideator because ideation and digital drafting have become infinitely cheap.
So what does this all mean? For you, the listener, let's bring this all together and look at the bottom line for your own life and career. The era of the screen, the era where staring at a glowing rectangle was the safest, most guaranteed path to prosperity, is plateauing.
It's leveling off.
The physical era is returning with a vengeance. The keyboard warriors, those who made their living entirely within the frictionless digital realm, are facing forced retirement or massive reinvention. The era of the hands-on creator has officially begun.
It really operates as a call to action. It is a demand to reevaluate where you are directing your energy, your learning, and how you are devising the next generation.
The ultimate takeaway here is to literally look away from your keyboard. Stop assuming the digital world is the only place to find economic growth or career security. Start looking toward the physical world.
Use your hands dirty.
If you want to future-proof yourself in 2026 and beyond, start learning how things are actually built, how they are wired, how they are grown, and how they are fixed when they break. Cultivate skills that require your physical presence and your tactile problem-solving abilities.
It's the only way forward.
And by the way, if you want to read the full, detailed breakdown of this structural shift, you can search for the original piece over at thetradingjob.blogspot.com. It is incredibly insightful and well worth your time to explore the nuances we touched on today.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it forces us to reconsider the very fabric of our modern lives well beyond just individual career choices.
That is an interesting pivot. What do you mean by the fabric of our modern lives?
Well, think about the downstream effects of this economic inversion. If manual labor, the skilled trades, and physical problem-solving become the most highly compensated and prestigious professions of the 21st century, if the master electrician, the civil engineer, and the agricultural technician become the new elite, how will that completely flip our societal class structures?
That is a fascinating thread to pull. We are talking about a total inversion of wealth distribution and cultural status.
Precisely. And take it a step further. Think about our physical environment and urban planning. For decades, our entire society, the very layout of our major cities, has been built almost entirely around the daily commute to white-collar office buildings.
That's true.
We have central business districts, massive glass skyscrapers filled with cubicles, and sprawling suburban networks designed specifically for the knowledge worker commuter.
Right. The entire rhythm of the city is based on people traveling to a desk to use a keyboard.
But if the desk job vanishes and the primary economic value is created out in the field, on live construction sites, in agricultural centers, in manufacturing hubs, and in local infrastructure projects, how do we redesign our cities?
What happens to all those empty million-square-foot glass towers in downtown metropolitan areas when the keyboard warriors are permanently gone?
It's a massive question for the next decade.
That is an incredible thought to leave on. The implications go so far beyond just picking a college major or learning a new trade. It is about how we physically organize human civilization, allocate status, and build our communities in the post-AI world. It is something for all of you to seriously mull over and explore on your own as you navigate this new reality. Thank you so much for joining us for today's deep dive. We hope it sparked some new ideas, challenged your assumptions, and gave you a fresh perspective on a rapidly changing world around us. Stay curious, keep learning, and we will catch you next time.